just ordered up.
Tell Migga to bring me my pink phone,
100 of them just ordered up. Bitch, I'm a big gangster. I turn around with that foreign love. Cocaine the same go. 100 of them just ordered up. Surrounded by the angels. Diamonds on when I'm talking love. She won't be my baby, but I'm afraid to fall in love. She say I only get excited when the pack touchdown. Pray that we don't get indicted in the trap uptown. Bitch, I'm a big gangster. I turn around with that foreign love.
Woo, we back again. We are back again. Good morning if you're watching this in the morning. Good afternoon if you're watching this in the afternoon. And good evening if you're watching this in the evening. This is the Newsense podcast with your host, Mr. Philadelphia, a.k.a. the Delphia Dundada, a.k.a. Himadelphia, Mr. Philadelphia himself. How are y'all? How y'all doing? It's been like a week or two, but I'm back. Ain't nothing changed but the name on the mail, but I'm here. I'm here. So, today, I'm going to touch on making our degrees work for ourselves. Or if you went to college and you used your degree in the field that you're in. Because I know I didn't. I went to college, y'all, and got my degree in biology. And I can't name the difference between a snake and a dog. But I got my degree in biology. So, by that being said, I'm going to give you a story about jobs and positions that I held when I had my degree. And then I am going to bring on a special guest that is going to explain how they use their degree to get in their field, and master it. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. So, my first job getting out of college with my biology degree, I worked at the airport. I worked at the airport as a lavatory driver. All right? So, first of all, lavatory is just a fancy word for bathroom, clearly. And I was working as a lavatory driver, so I was the one. First of all, I got a degree in biology, so just put that out there. I was the one that drove under the planes. I hooked a tube up to the plane, and I would hit this latch that would drop all the feces from the plane, which was not the perfect job, especially when it was cold. When it was cold, the latch would get frozen, and you would have to. Let's not even get. I should have been. What's the guy? Brent Grimes' Dirty Jobs. He never did my job. He did 1,000,001 jobs, but he never did what I did. It was horrible. And I would do a truck. I would dump it. I would do that constantly, and that was horrible. Next job, I worked with kids. So I was working with kids for a while. I worked with like mentally disabled kids. It was very fulfilling, but it wasn't worth it. These little kids, and the crazy thing is, shit followed me because he would take his shitty diaper off and throw it in the air. Shit actually followed me around. He would take his diaper off in the middle of the classroom and throw it in the air. That is just ridiculous. I couldn't get away from shit. Airport to kid with diaper. I love him to death. His name was Rashad Williams. I love him to death. I hope everything is right with him. So again, I left that and I went to better working kids. So these kids I started working with were actually in school. And they were going in class. But I'll say I was too competitive with this child because they used to have like math class and math questions. I knew I was a grown adult, but when we had this little math questions every other Friday, I used to kill these kids. They used to be mad at me. Mr. J and all that, then answered all the questions right and got, yes, I did. You gonna learn. Life not gonna give you no help. So I damn sure won't. So After that, I worked at a recovery house. I worked at a recovery house. So first of all, let me straighten this mic up. So listen, first of all, at this recovery house, it was the scariest job of my life. When they say people are zombies, I used to have to wake people up in the morning. People used to be high in the morning and walking around in the middle of the night. I was scared. Honestly, I was scared. And let me throw this out there. Black people, y'all are not the most people on drugs. Black people aren't the most people on drugs. It was only 3 black people working that lived in a whole recovery house. The majority of people were Hispanic, Caucasian, and believe it or not, we had 1 Asian. So out of that 1 Asian whose family let them slip through the cracks, they was in there as well. So my next job after that was the best job I ever had in my life. I worked as a conflict analyst. Oh my God. I worked downtown. I worked 1 to 9. It was the perks. It was the most money. See, now listen, y'all, when you got a degree, you may not use it, but it gets you in the door. So if you're like wanting a position, they say need a degree required. It honestly, it gets you in the door to what you want. It gets you in the door. So it got me in the door. These people, I never was corporate, right? Never been corporate. But when I got into corporate, these people set me down at a table. I thought this was the Illuminati. This I knew I was getting accepted. They said, "How much do you want?" I said, "What?" They said, "How much money do you want? What do you want to get paid?" So I got old parents. So I went back to them. I'm telling them, like, yo, they asked me how much I want. They trying to my parents lowballing. They just like, they happy I'm working downtown. So I went there, I gave them a price. They was like, "That's it?" I was like, I thought I knew my worth. And they end up giving me the job at the end of the day. But then it wasn't meant for me because God sent COVID and God loves me. So I knew it wasn't meant for me because COVID came and COVID disrupted it. But that's besides the point. So then I went to JG Wentworth, did what I do there, my cash I needed now, did that. And then I'm at where I'm at now. That's none of y'all damn business. So, with all that being said, I have a special guest for y'all today. I call her Big Blue. This is actually my girlfriend, one day fiance, one day wife. So all y'all watching this, watch your eyes. So let me give y'all a little story on her right now. She went to Kutztown University, got her degree in social work in 2016, graduated. Then she went to Denver University and got her master's in social work as well. She is the head program coordinator at University of Jefferson University Infectious Disease. That's one thing. So she put her degree to work. That's what we're going to touch on. But as well, she dealt with trials and tribulations, and she still found a way to become successful by her being consistent in her degree. So my thing is, when y'all hear this whole story, when you go get your degree, before you get it, have a plan. After you get it, create a plan. So that means once you get your degree, you don't know how things are going to work out because life throws curveballs. But you have to want to do something with it. You have to want to create something. You have to want to put something together for you to have the outcome that you want. You just can't sit and wait. So without further ado, Lady Love, my beautiful girlfriend, Shakeera Wynn. We're gonna call her Shaq. That's what everybody knows her as. We're gonna call her Shaq. Oh, and I forgot to tell y'all, Big Blue stands for Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And she's on the Centennial team. She's on the Centennial Step team as well, y'all. She got moves. Watch yourself. Right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My fault. Shakeera, how are you?
I'm doing well. I mean, I feel really honored to be here, and you made me sound like I'm an important person.
You are. You are an important person to me.
Oh, thanks.
So that's my key. So, Shakeera, can you tell people the things I missed on about you?
I went to the University of Denver.
All
Denver
right.
University I think that's a different school.
Oh, that's a different school?
Yeah. But besides that, you basically told them everything about me except my sign and my favorite color.
Oh man,
Pescatarian.
I know I'm not giving out all the info. I'm not dropping all the jewels now. All right. So Shakira, I told them, all your accolades, right? But I want to dig deeper into you and I want to give people, like I said, your trials and tribulations. So can I tell them or would you like to expose, your trials and tribulations that you dealt with? I'll introduce it. All right. So everybody, Shakira deals with something called fibroids. So fibroids are Shakira now.
Okay,
Interject.
I have been living with uterine fibroids since 2018. I have to look at my watch to figure out the calendar, but since 2018. So uterine fibroids are non-cancerous tumors that live in your uterus. I've been, it's been a struggle. It's definitely been a struggle, but
So
maintaining.
so break it down to our viewers. When you first found out about your fibroids, how did you feel?
Okay, so when I first found out, like I said, it was in 2018, I had a feeling that something was wrong. Um, I felt like a hardness in my belly. And usually, if you feel a hardness in your belly, that means that there is something wrong, like there's something in there. And so I went to my primary. My primary referred me to
So when you say
gynecology,
primary, sorry to cut you off. When you say primary, what do you mean as
my primary
primary?
care provider.
All
So
right, your doctor.
yeah, my main doctor, the doctor
All
that
right.
deals with everything. I was referred to gynecology, which is a specialist for down there. And I had to get some ultrasounds and I learned that I had at least 2 fibroids living in my uterus.
So when you first found out about them too, what was going through your mind?
Um, I thought that, well, I didn't know what fibroids were until I was told, but when I was told tumors, my first thought was cancer. So I thought that I was going to have to get a hysterectomy. I thought that maybe children were not going to be something that could happen to me in the future. I didn't know what to think. I was very, very nervous.
So by you saying that, is hearing the word tumor a misconception that people always attach cancer to?
Yes, it definitely is. Fibroids are non-cancerous. There is like a very, very small chance that they could be cancerous, but that like basically deals with your genes. That's something that is mostly connected to your genes if they are cancerous, but it's a really, really slim chance that they're
So after
cancerous.
finding this out, what was the next step?
So the next step was to figure out a plan for treatment. My plan for treatment was getting an IUD, so an intrauterine device, which is placed inside of you, and it's supposed to serve as birth control.
All right.
What were you?
No. Oh, I said I was just going to ask you. Like you said, a IED, a
IUD.
IUD. So that's the option that you chose, correct?
That was the option that was presented as the best option for me because one of my problems was that I was bleeding a lot. I was having
All
like
right.
long periods and heavy cramps, and that was supposed to help with that
Is that
situation.
one of the signs?
That is one of the signs. If your periods last for more than 7 days, and if they're very heavy, and if you are, I'm sorry, y'all, this is pretty graphic, but he asked me to talk about this. But if you're using a lot of pads within a day, then that is definitely a sign that something's going on.
So IUD was one option. What were the other?
There are many options for treatments and options for like kind of putting a band-aid on it. So the IUD was basically a band-aid, and so I wanted to actually get them removed. But there are surgeries that um can remove the fibroids, and there's also like the most insane, well, not insane, but the most drastic, um, which is getting a hysterectomy to remove your whole
Remove 'em.
uterus. Yeah.
So all right. So you get the IUD.
hmm
So what's the next step after that?
Well, I didn't really get a chance to talk about the next step because it fell out of my body. It was supposed to
It
last
fell
in there
out.
for 5 years, and it fell out after a few months. So,
So was that because of the heavy bleeding,
yes,
or like your body was just rejecting it? So that was the
yes,
heavy bleeding.
yes.
All right.
My body rejected it. I found a new team that actually wanted to remove them. So I ended up getting them removed in March of 2019. I had 11 tumors.
So you're saying they seen 2,
Yes.
but you actually had 11?
Yes. This team that I worked with, they actually did more in-depth ultrasounds. They also asked me to get an MRI. The MRI showed 10 to 12, and when they cut me open, they found 11.
So when you heard 11, I know your brain just went like, what's going on with me?
Yes.
After you heard you had the 11.
Exactly. And I'm not the only person in my family that has been through this. My aunts have.
So were they able to coach you through it?
Kind of, but their methods were not the same as mine. So my one aunt who was able to have a child ended up having a hysterectomy after she gave birth, but she had fibroids while pregnant with my cousin.
So that is an option.
A hysterectomy?
No, I'm talking about having the fibroids and being pregnant.
Yes, it is possible. But my other aunt, she still has hers, and she's had hers for over 10 years, and she doesn't
just
really
deals with them.
Yeah, but she's not really dealing with the symptoms, so she's fine.
So you got them removed.
Yes.
So right now, dealing with the fibroids,
Mhm.
how are you currently? Do you still have them? Are they gone? How is it now?
So when a person has uterine fibroids, there's a chance that they can reappear. I was told that I would possibly get them again within 5 years after my surgery, which is called a myomectomy, by the way. I ended up learning that I had them again 3 years later. And this round has been really interesting because it affected me differently. When a person loses a lot of blood, their iron can get really low. And my iron did get really low to the point that I had to get 8 iron transfusions. It has been affecting my back, so I have back pain sometimes. I have pelvis pain sometimes. It's also affected my mental health. It's made me feel kind of anxious because I'm nervous that I'm going to end up bleeding out of nowhere. I'm also dealing with some body issues because I do have that hardness in my stomach again. So it's different because I already experienced it before, but it still isn't fun.
I was about to touch on that. Like, so you understand them now.
Yes.
So the fear of cancer, the fear of, I believe, probably instant death or death being near, that's all out the window now because you better understand them now. So by you better understanding them now, is that helping you more to deal with them? Or like you just, when you feel pain, oh, it's fibroids. I know what they are. It's okay. I'll just deal with it and I'll just move forward.
It depends on how severe that pain is that day because sometimes it's just, it's the pain and I'll deal with it. And sometimes I do need medicine. But it is different because I do have a better understanding. And it's to the point that I do want to like educate others.
So how are you doing that?
So I actually started a separate Instagram page, basically like documenting my story and also like shedding some fast facts about fibroids.
Where's the page? People can look it up.
Okay, it is FEE_AND_THE_ fibroids. So Fee and the fibroids. So one of my nicknames is Fee, and that's the name of the page. So go ahead.
So what made you want to document this journey?
I feel like I would have not known about fibroids unless, like, my family didn't really talk to me about it, even though it's happened to my aunts and also my cousins, but we never talked about it. Also, talking about like reproductive health, sexual health is kind of taboo. So I wanted to provide a space to just share some knowledge that I've learned and just make people aware.
All right. So before we switch topics, can you give people the signs and where they can find like help and where they can look it up at? And like, cause I know when I look things up on Google, I go on Google and Google will give me a million different things. And then I'm thinking I got this and it's really this. And I'm just drowning myself under all these other issues that don't even apply to me.
WebMD. No, don't do that. That's actually not good for your mental health because you'll probably think that you're dying if you Google your symptoms. But the symptoms that I've experienced were, like I said, the hardness in your belly, also heavy periods, long periods, urination problems, so frequent urination, also pelvis burning sensation, so like a pelvis pain. Um, what else? I mentioned the cramps, the heavy cramps, like very, very, very heavy cramps. Um, Also, if you're feeling like kind of weak and tired because of your bleeding. Um, Also, if you have anemia, sometimes those two things correlate.
Correlate as well.
Hmm.
All right, let's get a little change of pace. Earlier I mentioned, my career choices from
Very
my
interesting
degree
choices.
standpoint. And I elaborated on your great career and success of how you're actually putting your degree to use. So can you give our viewers a timeline of, you actually using your degree and you getting your degree?
Okay, so I finished my bachelor's in social work in August of 2016. To complete a bachelor's in social work, you need to complete an internship of 400 hours. So I was actually able to finish my internship of 400 hours within 11 weeks, which is very intense, especially because it was a really interesting time in my life. My mother was actually in a coma, so I was doing 11-hour days at my internship and making sure that my mother was okay in the hospital. So after I finished and my mother was home and she was okay, I took a minute to like collect myself, to breathe, because I didn't really get a chance to process that. Um, a few months later, I started putting myself out there, applying to different places, and I actually ended up getting a job at an amazing agency that I love to death. It's actually called Babashi Transition to Hope. Um, they are the first Black-owned agency to focus on the HIV epidemic in the country, and I was able to
The
work with
first
them.
black?
Yes, it's a
Mm.
Black-owned agency. Um, it's an agency that provides medical case management services for people living with HIV. Also, they do testing, and they are very focused on prevention. They also have a food bank, and they provide support groups for people living with this virus. And
Where are they located? I'm sorry. If they're
am
doing
I
all this help for
okay?
people in our community, I just want all the knowledge to be spread for everybody can hear this and they can actually, go find this stuff out for themselves. And it's not just words; they actually can be there physically.
Okay. Well, they're located at 1235 Spring Garden Street.
All right.
They do testing for STIs and HIV as well. So, if you know anyone that needs to get tested, send them there.
All right. So what was your next job after that?
The next job, it was another agency that provided similar services.
Summer
Um,
services.
it was a bigger agency because they had 5 different sites throughout the city. Um, but I felt like I couldn't really grow there. So as soon as I finished my master's degree, oh, I was working full time while getting my master's degree,
Oh
by the
yeah,
way.
I'm about to say, yeah. You mentioned your master's being in Denver. So why
Yes.
did you choose going to Denver to get your master's instead of schools in this area? You got like anything on the East Coast that I'm pretty sure that you would have got accepted to.
It's really interesting because I worked down the street from Penn and I could have gotten my master's from Penn, but I decided to go to a school that was in a different time zone
Mm.
so I could make sure that I could work my full day and do my internship within their business hours. So when it was 7 here, it was still 5 there. So I was interning at 7 to at 8 at 9, and it was still okay because it was in their time zone and they were okay with it. It counted. The hours counted.
And this is what goes back to what I said earlier. You gonna have to create a plan. She started once I got my degree. My plan was to get my degree in social work. After I got my degree in social work, how am I going to create this plan for this social work degree to work for me? And do y'all see how she lives on the East Coast, but she was thinking ahead of the game? I'm gonna go to school on the Midwest Mountain Time for I can be able to work
Mhm.
and I can be able to do my schoolwork. You have to be able to think about these processes while you're in the midst of it sometimes. Sometimes people just want to jump up and do it and not have a plan. You have to have a plan. I'm sorry to cut you off. It's
No,
just so
it's
many gems that
fine.
you're dropping right now that people don't even think of. People don't even think about that. People say, "Oh, grad school. I'm gonna go to grad school here because it's close." You're thinking, "Oh no, I'm gonna go to grad school here because it gives me more time to get my work done and I can finish everything." People
Yeah.
don't think like that. And that is why I bring you on this show, because you actually make plans and you actually figure things out while you figuring them out. Some people just figure things out. I don't know the next step. I'm gonna just let it go on the wind. You're like, all right, I figured this out. While I'm figuring this out, I'm already on my next step trying to plan it. So after you got your master's, what was the next step after that?
I wanted to try to accomplish my dream, which is to work in healthcare. I wanted to like really be on someone's treatment team. So I put myself out there to different health systems, and the health system that I work with now, they actually put me on their team.
So what health system do you work with now?
Oh, you want them to know where I work, but you didn't tell them where you work. Wow. Okay, I work at Jefferson. I am the program manager for the HIV program through the infectious disease department. And I've been working with that department since April of 21, but I was promoted to the program manager from the outpatient social worker in I was promoted in October 22.
So let's dig deep.
Dig
So
deep. Dig deeper.
I have a question. How many black women hold your position? Do you know of?
So my position looks different in other health systems. So the people that I know of that are doing similar jobs as me that are black, I can think of 3 offhand. Most of the people that are like within my shoes or like doing something similar to me, managing the programs, they're not black women.
They're not.
Oh,
So
and it's Social Work Month, by the way. Just
yeah,
saying.
happy Social Work Month for all y'all social work, and it's Women's Month as well. Tag on that. So you're a black woman.
Yes.
You're in this position. You're running this program. Is it stressful?
Very much so. Very much so. So the program is a Ryan White clinic. So Ryan White was a young teenager that was living with HIV, and he was not able to go back to school because of his diagnosis. That was many years ago. So we received funding in his name from the city of Philadelphia. And
So they found out he had HIV or he had AIDS, and they wouldn't allow him to go back to school.
yeah, it was very, very sad. But I wasn't there for that. That was before my time. That was like many, many years ago
All right.
when the HIV actually was starting. Like when we first realized it was a problem. But many different clinics, different nonprofit agencies. So all of the places I've worked for receive Ryan White funding. And the funding that we receive basically keeps us running. So it pays for salaries, it pays for our supplies, it pays for our space. And in order to keep this funding, we have to make our funders happy. And we are assessed on many different things. If people are coming to their visits within a specific amount of time, if they're getting tested for STIs, if they are getting their cholesterol checked, if they are having their mental health assessed, if they are being assessed for substances, like if they need help with it.
So do you like have like any numbers that like so what are the numbers from last year? Do you have any numbers from last year that not 2022 but 2021 of like how the HIV has been being handled in Philadelphia, or like are there any numbers on that? Like
I mean, there are numbers. I do not know them offhand. They are definitely on the Philadelphia.gov website.
All right.
Actually, they didn't put out their 2022 numbers. I think their 2021 numbers are still out. But I do not know the numbers off of hand. But I do know that there is a problem with getting people tested, and there's also a problem with getting people treatment. And the problem is usually not knowing and the stigma. So because of the fact that HIV is stigmatized and people don't really know about it, they're not getting tested for it.
All right. So I'm about to say, so the lack of knowledge, I'm about to say y'all, so since she is my lovely future, we have conversations about HIV, and she breaks it down that they have medicine that if you found out that you had sex with somebody with HIV, if you have been exposed, that's the correct word. If
That's
you have
good.
been exposed to HIV within a certain amount of hours, they do have medicine that you can take that will prevent you from getting HIV.
Yes, that is
You
true.
can get prevented from getting HIV if you get the medicine at the correct time, and you can prepare yourself from getting HIV if you do what? PrEP, right? It's PrEP
Yes.
and PEP. Can you break those two down for me?
Well, first of all, good job for actually listening to me. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, I try my best here and there.
But pre-exposure prophylaxis, that is what PrEP means. It is the medicine that can be taken daily to prevent you from contracting HIV. Post-exposure prophylaxis, which is what PEP is, that is medicine that needs to be taken within 72 hours of the interaction that the exposure occurred. So if a person is exposed and they are aware within that 72 hours, they need to go to the emergency room immediately. And if a person is interested in PrEP, there are different places that they can go to see a provider and to get prescribed something.
So with the PEP, right?
Mhm.
How long do they have to take it before they can have sexual actions with somebody with HIV? Is it a certain amount of days that they have to have PrEP? I can't just take PrEP today and then tonight go have sex with somebody with HIV or AIDS tonight, can I?
Um, so the question that you're asking, I feel like it is a good question, but it's another way that we should look at it. So the person that's living with the virus, are they taking their medicine? Are they undetectable?
Mm,
Because if a person is taking their medicine and if they are undetectable, which means that like you can't really detect the virus in the blood, it can't be transmitted through sex. So PrEP is great and it does work well with people, but it does take a while for it to fully,
take effect.
yes. But this also needs to fall into the hands of the person within the relationship that is positive. If they're taking their medicine correctly and if they are undetectable, then they can't pass it to the negative
To the
person,
negative.
if that makes sense.
All right, yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense 100%, y'all. I'm letting her talk, y'all, and she's like, I hope y'all are listening because she's basically schooling y'all on other options that you have that you never knew you had. I never knew about PEP or PrEP before, having conversations. And these are conversations that who do you know who leads in HIV in like America? Like, how is it what is the most way that it's transferred?
Um, it is through sex, and from the statistics I was looking at, the most it's mostly transmitted through sex with men, or men that have sex with men, or people that have like, well, trans women as well. People that are within that MSM category, they have a higher chance of
Contracting
contracting
it.
it, and they have the higher numbers.
The higher numbers of getting it.
Yes.
All right. So, we touched on this. I hope y'all are very informed. I have one more topic I would like to get on, and that's our relationship.
Okay.
We practice, I guess, safe sex for the most part. I got tested, she got tested. I trust her as far as I can throw her most times. And that should go as far as it is. So hopefully, we not in none of these numbers that are given. But I do have a couple questions. How's our sex life?
Wow. Whoa. Do I have to answer that?
I would just
I mean, here's the thing about life. This went from me being a professional to being a sexual being. Like, I feel like we need to pick one for the conversation, and I feel like maybe if we're going to talk about me being a professional, maybe I shouldn't be talking about my sex life. Or
I'm about to say, y'all, she talks about it a lot. All right. She is very wholesome. She is my lady in the streets. What? And a freak in the sheets. All right. So, all right. So since we're gonna talk about that, how is our relationship? Can you explain to them how I am in a relationship outside the mask, outside of being Adelphia Dundada, outside of being Mr. Philadelphia, outside of being Hemadelphia.
That's a lot.
Ladies, I'm taking, and hopefully it's going to be a lot of good stuff said.
Wow. Well, honestly, this relationship has been the most fun I've had in a while. Well, ever in my life. The safest I've felt with a person. The most secure I felt with a person. Um, yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm really grateful that we are together. I'm glad that we choose each other every day.
And I'm about to say, I want to piggyback that on that as well, y'all. Like, I first of all, I like the person that she is. I love the person that she is. It's who she is that makes me more attracted to her. Like her thought process. You know, if y'all listen to this, as well spoken as she is, and how she just makes things happen, she's pushing me to do this as well. For all y'all watching, this is like my backbone. This is like, you know, the person that's saying, do this, do this. Sometimes it does get annoying, but sometimes you need somebody to be that tick before the boom. You need that tick, 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 boom. And she's my tick. And eventually I'm going to blow up. That's how I'm looking at it. So we touched on our sex life halfway. We touched on how I am. So here's my question. Name 3 things that you feel makes a strong, positive relationship.
Wow. 3?
3.
3.
Uno, dos. Uno, dos.
Remember that one time he said he got a degree?
Trace. Uno, dos.
Are we
trace.
sure we want to keep it?
Shout out to Benedict College, first of all. BC, you know, HBCU, we hold it down. Don't even worry about it. Let's go.
3 things for a relationship to flourish, basically.
Right.
Communication, which is something that I feel like we do fairly well, but you know, we could always improve with anything. Nothing's perfect. But I feel like I can talk to you about anything, and I feel like you do talk to me about everything, even things that I don't think I need to know. Also, I would say romance. Even if like you're in a relationship for a very long time, you still have to keep it interesting. Like, still take your partner on dates, even if you've been together for a while. We've been together for a year and a half almost. It'll be a half soon.
Yeah.
And we still manage to make time for each other, to date each other, to have fun together. Oh, and the third one is definitely make sure it's fun. Like, yes, we are together, but you're also one of my best friends. So I feel like, you know, that's very important in a relationship, not just like the romance, but also like keeping it fun and fresh and friendly, you know?
So y'all, this was a great interview. Not a lot of people get to have a podcast interview with a love of their life.
Wow.
You know,
that's
a
heavy.
lot of people don't have that opportunity. And I'm able to have opportunity with somebody that I look up to, somebody that is beautiful, successful, smart, still going to reach their goals, even when they met other people's goals. She's still going for goals after she has surpassed other people's goals. So like I feel blessed. So I want to give y'all this. If you listen to this in the morning, good morning. If you listen to this in the afternoon, good afternoon. And if you're listening to this in the evening, good evening. This is the Newsense podcast with your host, Mr. Philadelphia, aka the Delphia Dundada, aka Hemadelphia, and his beautiful, 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 beautiful guest, Shakeera. Peace out. And that's Stamp 100. I'm done.